Hello guys, welcome to Study IQ. I'm Safir. In this session, we are going to continue our discussion on planning. So we were talking about planning and we have completed the first 5-year plan. And in this session, we will be completing all the plans. Okay, so I'll just go for a quick recap of what we have done. We discussed that the first, second, third plans, and then there are 3-year gaps. And this is plan holiday due to some specific issue which was related to famine and food. War was not the issue, I've told you. And then we have gone for green revolution. This plan holiday means annual plan. So specific issue, specific plan, annual plans. Okay. Then you have two plans like 4th and 5th. So we will be discussing this today. And in the 5th plan, it will be like during this time, 74 to 79. But before ending this plan in 78, Janata Party will come to power and then they terminate the plan and then they will go for rolling plan. So 6th will not be there. Then there will be rolling plan like from 78 to 83 and then 79 to 84, 80 to 85. That means they keep on rolling the plan. Okay. Now what happened in 80 years, Congress came back to power. So the 5-year plan actually continued. So where it got stopped on the 5th plan. And then, see guys, I'm not writing the years. It is very easy for you to remember, right? 51 to 56, then next 5 year, like that you can remember. Anyway, I've discussed in the previous session. So there is no point in wasting time over there. Now the 6th plan and then 7th. So 6th will be from 80 to 85 once the Congress came back to power, and 7th. Okay, so this 2 plan, so 3 plan, 3 gap, then 2 plan, 2 gap, and that's actually rolling plan. So here the 2 gap is rolling plan. And when the Congress came back to power, planning continued, resumed, and then 2 plan, then 2 gap, this is BOP crisis. So here actually plan holiday, annual plans. So you can see here, this is plan holiday, specific issue, and annual plan. This is also plan holiday, specific issue, annual plan. But this gap is rolling plan. And then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, continuously it will go. So just remember the structure. Now, where we stopped is 3rd plan. So what we will do now is, we will be continuing from the 4th plan. So we discussed the 3rd plan, and then we also discussed the objectives and the growth and the target and the actual growth and everything we have covered. We also discussed the specific issue and green revolution related aspect and the specific plans as well. Now, if you look for the 4th plan, 1969 to 74. So this is actually coming after the plan holiday. So before 3 plan holidays was there. Now this is after the plan holiday. Now the focus. So guys, you need to remember the focus of each 5-year plan. Okay, and the achievement also. So the focus, if you see, growth with price stability, and self-reliance in Forex. So guys, if you need to be self-reliant in Forex, what is required? You need better export. So you will see a lot of export promotion policies during this period of time. So, and that is there. And one most important fact that I want to discuss is during 1973-74, as per NSSO data, the poverty rate was 55%. Now guys, 55% poverty that time, according to NSSO data, means what? 55% people are hungry. Now, remember that time poverty was measured in terms of calorie intake, not in terms of this 25 rupee or 30 rupee, not in terms of money, calorie intake. That means you are not taking enough or required calorie, and that's when you are called as poor, or you will be under the poverty line. So 55% people are below poverty line means 55% people are hungry. And that actually indicate the failure of planning or the failure of planning commission. And in fact, planning commission accepted the failure of planning commission to alleviate poverty, not in complete sense. Obviously, what is the ultimate requirement, ultimate aim? It has to be removal of poverty, create employment opportunity, remove inequality. These are the ultimate objective. And what they were actually expecting, they were expecting the trickle down to happen. I've explained this, how this is going to happen and all. But guys, trickle down to happen, it will take a lot of time. We just started that policies, right? And if it need to get implemented, and then it is going to take a lot of time to trickle down. So already people are very poor. That means Planning Commission accepted that to meet the social objectives, it was actually a failure because trickle down did not happen. And remember this, if at all you need to write a mains answer or an essay, this is something which you need to explain with a perspective. If trickle down need to happen, you see all the developed countries where trickle down happened due to industrialization, it takes time. Okay, so initially that inequality and all will increase, and then over a period of time, they will pay taxes and all. So obviously the government will come up with programs, hospitals, social, related initiatives, education, and that will create employment and all. So obviously that trickle down will be there, and then poverty, inequality and all will automatically remove after some time. So it takes some time to trickle down to work out. Okay, so the growth achieved during this time was 3.3%. Okay, so now we have realized when you see this 55% people are hungry. Now, what is a specific issue? Poverty is a specific issue. So we need a specific program now to focus more on poverty alleviation. And this is the time where the election is coming, and that very famous slogan, right? The Garibi Hatao. So that is actually during this time. So trickle down will take actually long time. That is something which you need to remember. It is not that easy. Okay. Now let's go with the next plan, fifth plan. Here, the same continuation, 74 to 79. But remember, it will not go till 79. 78, Janata Party came to power. So they will terminate the plan. And from 78 onwards, yearly, there will be rolling plan. It will be for 5 years, but yearly they will change the objectives. That's what rolling plan. Okay, so fifth plan. Now focus is, obviously, as I've told you just before, NSSO data, 55 people are poor. So what is going to be the objective? Here, focus, poverty. Okay, so focus is removal of poverty. Okay, so like you will see minimum needs program and all will be coming during this time. And the growth achieved in this plan is 4.8%. Now, after this, by 78, Janata Party came to power. So 78 to 80 rolling plan. Okay, like rolling plan means 78 to 83, there is a 5-year plan. And then 79 to 84, another 5-year plan. Not like the one which we discussed before. So here the objectives and plans and everything will keep on changing after every year. And then 80 to 85, this is what rolling plan is all about. Then in 80, Congress will come back to power and resume the planning that is going to be the 6th 5-year plan. But during this rolling plan, I think I need to discuss some events here. New schemes were introduced during this time for poverty and this poverty alleviation and employment generation program. So you will get questions related to this, and we don't have time to discuss those schemes that you will be studying under a different chapter, developmental programs. There you will be talking about wage employment program, self-employment program, and all the other programs, poverty alleviation programs, and all will be coming under development programs. So here we are not going to spend time on discussing those programs. I'll just tell you, like if you see the first one, there is a wage employment program. Okay, and the first one in 1978, the one which started was food for work. So guys, this is the first program by the central government. State government side, Maharashtra already have such kind of program. Employment generation scheme was there. That is the first by the state. But remember, this kind of program was actually implemented even during British time. You remember, I have discussed about Famine Commission, Richard Strachey. During Lytton's time, there was a famine, and then Rippon's time, famine code was drafted. And then at that point of time itself, I've told you, there is a food for work program. Government will provide food, and in return, they have to work. So that's exactly the same program here. 1978, there's a significance as the first by the central government. State government, Maharashtra already have similar program, employment guarantee scheme was there. Then if you look into another one which implemented during this rolling plan was self-employment program. So whenever I talk about self-employment program, there will be training first, and then you will be financed to start self-employment business or whatever it is. Okay, so guys, I don't think that I need to write it completely. It is absolute waste of time. Self-employment program. So there will be training, and then there will be financing. What is that program? Which one is very famous? IRDP, right? Again, in the year 1978. So in 1978, you will see this two program, Food for Work program, and then IRDP, Integrated Rural Development Program. So guys, in 1977, industrial policy have changed. That I have discussed under the module of industry, various industrial policies, the changes in industrial policies and all. And the focus was given on small scale industry. So here, that is actually the industrial decentralization. And because of that, this is getting a lot of significance. So IRDP. Okay, so these two programs, just remember during rolling plan. Then what we need to discuss next is this one, the sixth plan. The planning resumed from 80. So 80 to 85. What is the focus here? Focus is on modernization. When I talk about modernization, mainly PSUs, the efficiency is very low, the productivity is very low. So to enhance or improve the productivity or efficiency was one of the most important concern. So modernization, then poverty issue, that is continued, poverty alleviation, and then again, employment generation. Guys, you can write it completely. Modernization, poverty alleviation, employment generation. So this is a focus. In fact, next plan also, it will be the same. There you will see, I think, instead of modernization, something related to technology, you will see that is modernization only. Instead of poverty, you will see, I think, food, and then employment, it will be the same. Like that. It is the same actually. The next plan focus is also the same. So 6 and 7, after the rolling plan, the focus both are same. So easy to remember. Modernization, because we are very poor in technology, efficiency, productivity. So that part need to be very clear. And then poverty is a major issue, employment also. Okay, so you can see because of this huge investment has been done in PSU to improve efficiency, to improve productivity. Okay, and then industrial productivity is very much essential, because if your industry is going good, if you have a vibrant industrial growth, all these issues, poverty, employment, and everything will be automatically solved. So you need to have a vibrant industrial growth, and for that you need to have better efficiency and productivity. So modernization is very much necessary. And what all things has been done here is, I'll just write the things which has been done. Cannot go in detail because that's part of a different module, like industrial policy liberalized. Okay, and industrial policy statement 1980 released, and licensing norms were relaxed. So licensing norms were relaxed, like broadbanding. That means if you've got a license for two-wheeler, you can produce both scooter as well as motorcycle. There is no need to get separate license for these. And then MRTP Act, FERA Act, etc. were liberalized. So this is actually minor liberalization. The major one will come in 1991, that is LPG. So here, this is minor liberalization. You can see all these during this time. And what happened as an aftermath of this? Industrial growth have actually increased. And this is actually the takeoff period of Indian industries. So industrial growth have increased during this time. Till then, it was around 5%. Now from here onwards, it is going to be more than 7%. So during sixth plan onwards, modernization, and after that, industrial growth have actually increased, because you are giving more and more focus on industries. At the same time, you have worked on research and development. That means technology self-reliance. That is also one of the key objectives during this time, technology self-reliance. And the third one, introduction of computers and telecom. So computer and telecom. Okay, so these are the key points which you need to remember. And one more point is, see, we have discussed about 1978. There was a program. What is that? Food for Work program. And also we have discussed about IRDP. Okay, now what happened is, this Food for Work program was renamed as NREP, National Rural Employment Program, implemented in some districts. Okay, so Food for Work program renamed to NREP. And in 1983, new program RLEGP, Rural landless employment guarantee scheme. So this is also in some districts. And in this program, IRDP, it did not rename. Here this is renamed, and this is a different program. IRDP continued in the same name, not changed the name, but extended to all districts, okay, and implemented in entire country. So if you see, this is in some district, this is also in some district, but IRDP was one of the largest program and implemented in all districts. And before MG and RAGA, this was the single most largest scheme in India. Okay, so the growth during this time, that is 5.7%. I hope this is very clear, guys. And now let's look into the 7th plan. Okay, so 7th plan, 85 to 90. So same policies will be continued, and the focus is also same. Just the name used is different in the policy, like productivity. There it was modernization. I've told you that is related to productivity and efficiency. So productivity, and then food, there it was poverty, and work, there it was employment generation. So it is the same productivity. There it was modernization. Food, there it was poverty, and work, there it was employment generation. It is the same. So the policies are actually continued. And here this NREP, National Rural Employment Employment Program, and RLEGP, the second one, Rural Landless Employment Guarantee Program, they have merged and made to Jawahar Rozgar Yojana. And in 1985, one very important scheme, Indira Awas Yojana. And the growth during this plan is 6%. So growth accelerated. Growth is getting accelerated. But the problem is there are some macroeconomic issues which are coming. The macroeconomic situations have deteriorated during this time. Why? We don't have adequate forex. So there was a BOP crisis during this time. So when this BOP crisis was there, we have gone for 2-year plan holiday, and then we have gone for addressing the specific issue. So if you need to know the details, why this BOP crisis have come, there are domestic factors, there are external factors. If you want, I can discuss that also. So the BOP crisis was there, and there is a chances of default. So plan holiday was announced. The chance of default means we don't have enough money to pay the bill, export bill, import bill. Okay, so because we don't have enough forex, we don't have money, we don't have dollar to pay. So 90, 91, 92, that 2 years plan holiday because of BOP crisis, shortage of forex. Now, if you look into the reasons, causes, guys, causes are both domestic and external. Okay, so the domestic causes, if you see during this time, high inflation. Anyway, growth on one side is increasing, so that lead to demand, and that lead to inflation. Now, secondly, export actually increased. So you may think that export increased, so we should get adequate forex, right? But never happened. Why? Because we had a fixed exchange system. So even though export increased, that much advantage we did not get at this point of time. And then due to inflation, interest rate, what will happen? Increase. So when the interest rate increase, what will happen? The investment will come down. Investment will come down means automatically the firms will not produce, because the cost of borrowing is high, cost of production is high, the production have come down, supply have come down, and that become an issue during this time. This is one of the domestic issue. Apart from that, we had the high fiscal deficit, and revenue deficit is also high. We will be discussing this in detail in the chapter on budget. And then most importantly, political instability during this time. 1989 to 91, that 2 year itself, 3 government have came to power. Okay, in fact, there were 3 government changes. So first, 89, like in the election, it was VP Singh, and then Chandrasekhar, and then in 91, Narasimha Rao. So 3 government have come, and there is a huge political instability. Now, if you look into the external factors, which also triggered the BOP crisis or the shortage of forex, the Gulf War. Why it will affect us most? Because of dependence on oil, right? So what happened? Oil price increased. At the same time, we are a lot dependent on Gulf, right? Not only in terms of oil, in terms of remittances also. So when the Gulf War was there, oil price increased on one side, so that definitely going to affect our forex. Secondly, the foreign remittances have come down. And then again, one of the most important issue was disintegration of USSR. I will not be writing it completely. You need to write it. Disintegration of USSR into 16 countries. So guys, what is the main issue if this happens is, we had a counter trade agreement with USSR. That means it's just like a barter system. You buy some things, you can sell some things from here, like whatever you import, equal value you need to export. That means for the import, you don't want to pay dollar. That means your forex is not going anywhere. You just need to export and retaliate it. I mean, just cover it. But now when there is a disintegration, what will happen is we have around, out of our trade, around 25% is with the USSR. So now this 25% could have been saved before in terms of forex because of this kind of barter system that we had, the counter trade agreement. But now we have to pay that in terms of dollars. So that lead to shortage of forex. So now due to disintegration, that actually affected us, this entire thing that we need to pay. And we had to pledge gold to World Bank for forex and money to pay the bill. And overall credit rating have decreased. And you know what will happen when the credit rating will be decreased. And in 1991 election, Narasimha Rao government came and they negotiated with IMF and World Bank, and they have requested for help. And they said, you need to correct the policies. There are some adjustments required, changes required, reforms required. And then you go with the reforms, then we are willing to help. So that means, guys, now you talk about sovereignty. Are we truly sovereign? We, under the pressure of IMF and World Bank, had to change our policies. So is that what do you mean by sovereign? So in case if you get a question in polity, the preamble related question, are we truly sovereign? Because of the, these international institutions, we cannot say we are negotiating in WTO, and a lot of times we are changing our stance also. Like we used to have a process patent. That means we just need to follow a different process to make a product. Same product we can make, no problem, but follow a different process. That means we can go for generic drugs and all. But now, under the pressure, we have shifted to product patent. That means we cannot make the same product, even if you follow a different process. So are we truly sovereign? And that Italian Marines case, this one, we are under the pressure of these institutions and we had to do this, right? So we are in fact surrendering the sovereignty. But when you're writing it, write in a very diplomatic way. Just don't write we are not sovereign and we are under their pressure and all those things. So they said you have to correct policies, and we had to accept that. There is no other option. If we need to get the help, we had to accept that. And that is what the Washington Consensus 1991. So I'll just write WC, Washington Consensus. What is that? It is the agreement between Government of India and IMF, World Bank on the other side. So under Washington Consensus, the IMF and World Bank agreed to provide forex loan to Government of India. But the condition is it will be subjected to implementation of economic reforms. That means new economic policies, okay? Also called first generation reform. This is also called as Rao-Manmohan model. So if this is first generation reform, we will also discuss later the second generation reform. Okay, that will be continuation of this, complementary to this. Okay, so this is what you also call as Rao-Manmohan model. So what are the measures which has been taken in this, guys? I'll just go faster because the time is up already. The technical name of this was actually macroeconomic stabilization. I'll just write it, macroeconomic stabilization and structural adjustment program. Just remember this. So this is first generation reform, the economic policies, liberalization, privatization, globalization, Rao-Manmohan model, economic reforms, major economic reforms, whatever term you call it, but this is the technical term. So you can see here, macroeconomic stabilization. This is the first part, structural adjustment program. This is the second. So let me show you what is the first part and what is the second part. What is macroeconomic stabilization? Like, what are the immediate things that you need to do? Structural adjustment program. What should be done for future? Like banking reforms, foreign trade policy reform, foreign investment policy reforms, tax reforms like Chelaya Committee. Okay, so these reforms, okay, the broad reforms is what will come here. structural reforms. Okay. And here, quick things what you need to do to stabilize the present macroeconomic situation of the country. So short-term measures. So this is long-term. So short-term, what you need to do? Firstly, you have to bring down inflation. Now, to bring down inflation, what you need to do is cut deficit financing. Because deficit financing means just printing the money to meet the fiscal deficit. Now, you are printing the money. What is actually happening? Money supply, more money supply. That means too much of money chasing too few goods, right? So what will happen? That lead to inflation. So too much of money, like, see, I'll just explain. Let's say there are 10 goods and then 100 rupee available in the market. So each good will cost how much? 10. Okay. Now imagine deficit financing is there. So let's say 40 rupee has printed extra. What will happen? This 40 will come to the market. So now this 140 is going to chase 10 goods. So what will happen? This 10 become 14. So this is, I don't have too much time to explain it. But anyway, I've done these explanations in other sessions as well. So if you are following me, I know you might have watched that videos. Okay, guys. So to cut inflation or to reduce inflation or to solve the problem of inflation, cut deficit financing. Don't print money unnecessarily to meet your deficit requirements. Okay. And then reduce the fiscal deficit, reduce revenue deficit. As I've told you, these are the problems, domestic issues. And for that, what you need to do? Reduce the expenditure. Okay, reduce the revenue expenditure. That is very important. Capital expenditure, it's okay. That is good. Reduce the revenue expenditure. Now to increase forex, that is also very important. What you need to do is you need to go for devaluation, because as it is a fixed policy and over a period of time, you need to change to floating system also. Now devalue, currently $1 is 18 rupee. Now devalue to 24 rupee. So what will happen is it will promote exports. So obviously, guys, when there is a devaluation or depreciation, what will happen with the export? The exporters will gain, because earlier you used to get 18 rupee for $1. Now you're getting 24 when you're exporting. So you will export more. So that will lead to increase in forex. Now, what are the long-term measures that you need to take? Like government regulation should be reduced. So you go for LPG, open up the economy, liberalization, privatization, globalization. This license Raj, permit Raj, quota Raj should not be there. Okay, so liberalize things, make it simple. And long-term measures, like you should go for new industrial policy, and that I will be discussing in the chapter on industries. So 1991 in new industrial policy, tax reforms, that will be discussed in the tax chapter, Chelaya committee. And then banking sector reforms, that is in the banking module, Narasimham committee 1, 2, etc. And then foreign trade policy reforms, there is a chapter on foreign trade that I have discussed over there. Foreign investment policies as well. So there is a chapter on foreign investment. So all these are different modules that we have covered. So I just want to tell what all because our ultimate aim is to discuss the planning, not these things, right? So I wanted to cover the entire 12 plans, but we couldn't do that. We have done with 6, right? So first 3 plan, 3 gap, then 2 plan, 2 gap, then 2 plan, 2 gap. That's where we are stopping now. The rest, I'll take it in the next session. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Give a thumbs up if you like the video. Comment below if you have any doubt. Subscribe the channel also. See you guys in the next session. Thank you.